live from Long Island. We are streaming live
Long Island.
from Long Island, New York,
Long Island.
where the weather was
Oh boy, windy and damp.
not so good.
No,
But if,
look, I'm wearing a sweater. It's like winter's back.
but if it makes you feel any better, I happened to talk to someone who lives in Dallas, Texas, and it wasn't by our friend JD, someone else. And that person informed me that the weather in Dallas was 60 degrees and cold. We were 60 degrees and cold. So
that's right. So we know how that feels.
But the week before, they were in triple digits. Could you imagine?
Well, we had those up and down weeks.
Yeah, triple digits.
91 days, 60 the next.
Can you be 101 and then 60?
That's a swing.
Yeah,
that is a swing.
That's a tremendous swing. I mean, people must be going out of their minds in Dallas, Texas. JD, we miss you, JD. JD, I think he's hibernating until the pot stocks turn it around. He's heavier invested in me in pot stocks, and I'm getting stung.
Yeah, not a good week for marijuana.
Yeah, I mean, it's got me to the point where I think I need to start smoking it. It hurts, And all right, anyway, I was hopeful last week that we've seen the bottoms, but it doesn't look like it.
Now, was there some news on CVM?
Yes, there's a blogger who I will not refer to by his name because I don't want to dignify his profession.
Okay.
Which is to go after tiny little biotechs that have tripled and quadrupled and attack and then set it up for the shorts. He makes a lot of money.
I see what you're saying. And
for some reason, he's well respected in the industry. Now, I know the reason, because he's right far more often than he's wrong. And why do you think that is?
I have no clue.
Because biotechs, most of them fail in their trial.
Oh,
so he's playing God.
If you're bullish on biotech, it's not a bad strategy.
You got to be bullish on the right biotech because.
Right. Well, let me ask you about this. This was one of the things I was thinking about.
Yeah.
How familiar are you with the difference between immunotherapy and antibody therapy?
Antibodies therapy. Immunotherapy does stimulate the immune system in a similar way to create antibodies, T cells, killer T cells. So I'm not clear. I haven't heard the term really that lately, antibody therapy.
Well, yeah, for the
there is the old
antibody therapy was the panacea.
Yeah, wasn't it like immunoglobulin or whatever that stuff is?
Yeah, what happened was it attaches onto the cells directly, and then your own similar. Yeah, you're right. It's very similar to immunology, but instead of being vaccinated, which is sort of what the immunotherapy is, this one is that it helps your body recognize the bad cells.
Well, that's what Multikind does, according to the CEO of CVM. It kind of is a guiding light for your own body's T cells to attack the cancer cells. So that's what he claims, that Multikind is showing the way for your own body's immune system. It's kind of like lighting up attack here, that putting it on the map.
Yeah.
That's what
anyway
Gerd Kirsten has to say. But CVM was an interesting plunge. I thought overreacted, but I mean, people should know that you're getting 10-to-1 odds minimum if it's really good, the results. So you got to figure it would be a lot higher if the odds were really, truly that great for success. So in my mind, the odds, you can't really handicap it like a football game or a horse race, but I would have to say the odds are against success, even though I'm heavily invested, maybe 2 to 1, but only 2 to 1 against. So if you're 2 to 1 against and you're getting 10 to 1, what the hey?
Well, where do you come with this 10 to 1? I mean, right now it's hanging around. It's hanging just under the 9 that you were.
Yeah, I'll tell you how. Because based on what the CEO has to say, he's looking for a market cap, if it's really good, of about $12 billion. The market cap now is well under $1 billion.
Gotcha.
So it's at least, even if it's $4 billion that it's worth, it's still 10 to 1. I think it's about 400 million or even less, the market cap. I could check if I go on my phone.
Right.
Trick shot beast. He's answering your question. Multi-kind stimulates the cytokines. That's what that's what immunotherapy does. But it also is a pathway, according to the CEO. So, and one of the drawbacks of all of these immunotherapies is the terrible side effects when the cytokines go crazy and start attacking the organs instead of in your body rather than the cancer. And they call it, in fact, a cytokine storm, or that's not the technical term. Vray. Elwood wants to know about vray. I can give it a quick shot, Elwood. I haven't been following vray lately. You want to tell us about the fundamentals? Be our guest. How you doing, Elwood? Good to see you. So we
you got a phone.
I got to close the door because I'm going to get invaded by grandchildren.
Well, it's not really an invasion if it's a friendly invasion.
Yes. Hopefully they won't find me.
Not like the Turkish incursion into Kurd nation.
I'm hiding in the office. Hopefully they won't find me. So when the Yankees play, I'll put it the other way, right? Yeah, rally caps on. Even though I'm more of a Met fan, I'm going to root for those Yankees. I mean, they got.
Oh, you really? Oh, that's why you were in the Yankee hat.
Powerhouse, unusual options activity in vray. That's good to know. Well, we'll definitely have to throw up a chart on.
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah, definitely vray. What's their drug? I think it's a biotech, right? What's their drug? Elwood, do you want to talk a little bit more about it, or you want to come on with us? Or trick shot piece, CVM market cap is 300 million. Yeah, so even at 10 times, that's a modest 3 billion.
Right.
And
well, sure, if the stuff sells. And this was for the cancer of the neck and the head.
Head and neck, yeah. Now the blog makes several arguments saying that Keytruda and Optivo, the checkpoint inhibitors, can treat that and maybe have messed up the trial results. That don't make sense to me. And
in general, for this stuff, having a multiple modalities is really where your success is.
Yes.
So to say that you have one approach, if this other approach works, everybody's going to jump on it.
Well, the point of this trial is multi-kind first, followed by standard of care, surgery, and then radiation. So surgery and radiation alone, they would expect, I think, 55% mortality rate after 3 years. And the CEO seems confident that we've easily beaten that. So the CVM is ebullient. He's counting his 12 billion. His share of the 12 billion. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like the CEO proclaiming, "I'm not selling any of my shares until it's 12 billion."
You're right. So your price is 90.
Unless somebody offers me 12 billion. If they offer me if they offer me 10 billion for the company, I'll think about it, That's the feeling I get. Now the blogger, he's probably right 8 out of 10 times, because he's got more of averages on the side. So you certainly can't be sure of a company like CVM. They're coming through with really, really stunning results, but it's certainly, I think, reasonable to expect they meet the primary endpoint, despite the blogger. So the blogger talks about maybe they failed already because of a huge dropout rate.
It had about a 90-cent impact. Right. On $9, that's meaningful, but it's still fighting that 9% resistance that you were talking about.
Well, it crossed 9, almost hit 10.
It did, but so now it's like wavering around 850.
Well, even lower. But that's again, the blogger does have an effect on the stock price. Plus, we are being attacked by shorts. So the short attack coupled with the blogger is what's doing it. And there are a lot of investors who came in the 7s, 8s, even 9s that say, "See ya." I mean, they're not sitting pretty with an average of $4 or less, like I am. Right. I consider myself sitting pretty. I actually added a little bit. I think I've been doing a little of this and a little of that. I think I tweeted out that I added, and if I tweeted it out, I did add. I didn't add a lot. I think at 855, that's right. I bought a little bit at 855. Only it's lower now.
Yeah, now it's around 840 something.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Right.
I'm not that up.
So are you calling this as an outright?
Chris! Oh, good to see Chris. Watching from Busch Stadium, a St. Louis Cardinal.
Oh boy.
We have ourselves.
Why isn't he watching the game?
Oh man, I remember I told Spike, I remember Johnny Keane leading the Cardinals to a World Series against the Yankees in '64. Bob Gibson and company. I think Lou Brock must have been on that team. Dal Maxwell was the unlikely hero. I remember that pretty well, but I don't remember all the players naturally. I probably don't even remember.
Read the book.
Can you name the Yankee starting lineup probably for the game against Houston? I don't even know who they're pitching.
Are you talking about this year or 1964?
No, this year.
You probably have a better shot at 1964.
Maybe, but I think I can name the starting lineup. DJ LeMahieu, probably at third or first. I don't know which. He'll lead off. And I might be stuck. Aaron Judge, second, maybe. They've been batting him second for some reason. John Carlos Stanton.
He's no longer the record holder.
John Carlos Stanton, maybe third. To be honest, I watched a dozen Yankee games all year. But I think I know the team. They got a slugging team. They're going to be very tough. Stanton, Judge, back-to-back. How'd you like to face them back-to-back if you're a pitcher?
I would not.
And then you got Gardner, who's been killing the ball. I know he's like 36, 37. He's a relatively old man, but he's played a lot of seasons. He's a veteran. He's a very, very tough out. And he's probably the third or fourth outfielder they got. Maben is a little younger than him and also very tough. They got really four outfielders, I think. Maben, Stanton, Judge, and Gardner. The infield, do I know the infield as well? Well, you have Luke Voigt. You got that new kid.
I'm already impressed.
Ford and Voigt.
I'm the texture on the '64 Yankees now.
Wait a second. I'm thinking. Ford and Voigt at first. Second is Gleyber Torres, who might be better, arguably, than Altuve. Jose Altuve from Houston is a tremendous second baseman. I don't know who I'd rather have on my team going into the World Series, though. Would I rather have Gleyber Torres with his like 40 home runs, or would I rather have Altuve? I think he also has 30-something. But it's not just the home runs; they're both spectacular. And anyway, the rest of the Yankee infield, Didi Gregorius, he's some player, a lot of heart. I don't know. I think I named almost everybody from the. I'm not sure. Maybe I left somebody out. The two catchers, of course, is Sanchez with his 38 home runs or whatever he's got, and Romine, who's a very good backup, defensive backup. And the pitching staff, Paxton has been hot as hell, the lefty. So he's been really, really strong. I guess going into the postseason, he's got to be their ace.
Uh-huh.
And then you got Luis Severino, who was their ace before he got hurt. And he's looking good. And who else?
You don't sound like much of a Met fan to me, my friend.
CC Sabathia, which is, he's not going to get pitching time, maybe relief. And then you got Tanaka. And who am I forgetting? Somebody good. Hap won't get much time. Maybe those three. I think you'll see a three-man rotation. You don't need more. Paxton, Tanaka, and who's the third? Severino. Okay, enough Yankee talk.
Please. Mercy.
Mercy, because if you're not a Yankee fan, you probably switched us off by now.
Well, I was myself.
Who's pitching for the Cardinals day one, and who's pitching for Washington? I know Washington team better than the Cardinal team.
Yeah.
The Cardinal team.
I can find out.
Did they have Ozuna for the ex-Marlin? I think he's on that team. There's an Ozuna, and then the American League has an Osuna. It's very confusing, these names. That was Spike. I'm confused by all these names. So Brooklyn, Brooklyn, one of our followers, I call her Brooklyn, Vibrant Vixen. She liked the line from last week that any Jew can do Bernie. She thought that was hilarious. Yeah, she liked that line. She said our comedy might have been better than our technical analysis.
Well, this week maybe, except though we haven't been promising anything other than a trading range.
Yeah,
look.
You know what? I have the Dow somewhere. The Dow charted. Let's take a quick look.
Yeah.
I got to share screen to do that. We'll come back to see about comments and so on. But let's share screen because we don't have all day. It's 7:48. I want to do about 15 minutes of stocks.
Yeah. Well, there's a game of watching.
Yeah.
Hannibal Sanchez will be on the mound for the Nationals. And Miles McCollus pitching for the Cardinals.
Who's on the National? Who's pitching for the
Annabelle Sanchez.
Who's a National starter?
Annabelle Sanchez.
Oh, Sanchez, yeah. They got some staff. Sanchez, Scherzer, Strasburg.
They do. It's impressive.
They're not going to be easy.
The Mets didn't lose to Scrubs.
Nope. And Atlanta got knocked off by them. I mean,
very impressive that
Atlanta got knocked off by St. Louis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it was very impressive. I really had the Braves going a lot further.
Well, Washington had the biggest upset, knocking off the Dodgers.
Oh
right?
Yeah, very, but. Yeah, so I guess it's going to surprise me. We'll even have a wild card.
You see this big red candle from October 1st, 2019? That was a big engulfing. That worried me. I don't like these big engulfings when they come near the top. And certainly this is near enough the top to worry me. So I didn't like that. And sure enough, it plunged down the next 2 days and trying to come back. Took another plunge down, making a higher low than this.
Right.
And it looks like it's trying to make a higher high, but it got repelled before negating this candle. A complete negation of that candle would have happened with a new high, with a higher high than this. But the high of the day was what, 27.4, 4 penny. Right. The high of the day today was 27 and 1 penny, 27,001 penny. So by 3 pennies, it couldn't break the high by 4 pennies. 4 pennies away from making Dr. J feel better. Instead, look what it gave back to give me a candle that I'm not thrilled about. You know, I like when they're full green.
But you think today's candle is a one-off?
Yeah, I don't like today's candle. It was repelled by the high of the engulfing candle, that big red candle. So I think we might come back down, unfortunately, and maybe test this 26,164 level again. I don't know. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do when it hit the 200 day. It went slightly through it and sprung back. See, this is a beautiful bullish candle, the one that it put on 10.3, because it did what it's supposed to. It poked its toes into the water and said too cold and came back up. Back up. Very, very bullish candle. And this was the opposite, very much not bullish. Even if it pulled back like this, had it made a new high, a higher high than the red candle from 10.1, I'd be, you know, happier.
Right.
But it failed to break that high. So to me, this red candle, this engulfing candle, is still kind of live. Yeah. So it might take another shot, maybe test the 50 this time.
Well, I mean, I know all of my fundamental analysis tends to cloudy up the waters, but it seems to me that if they actually dig into this China deal and they find out that there's some there, then maybe we actually could stay up there. But if they look into it and if they criticize it for being a phony deal, then I would definitely agree. That,
yeah, I don't like the vicissitudes of the market depending on Trump and Xi, but that's what seems to be.
Well, it explains some of that pop there because everybody was enthusiastic about it. At least that's what the news pundits are saying.
Yeah. No, they're blaming this rally strictly on the trade deal that.
Well, it's certainly not optimism over the potential of Trump being impeached, because that wouldn't bring the markets up like that. What it seemed to me was that your calls for a more robust market are trying to do just that, despite all these fundamentals. That's what it seems to me. You know, in a way, you're making me a believer about technical analysis, because
technical analysis. The idea of it is that it's supposed to be the fundamentals are supposed to be embedded in the technical analysis. The technical analysis reacts to the fundamentals. They're really not much different from each other. It's reflected in the technicals. The fundamentals are reflected. So it's hard to discount the fundamentals, but it's also hard to discount the technicals.
No, like I said, you made a believer out of me, because just this fact that we're hanging out here, and actually, we actually had a really up day. I mean, granted, if it was because everybody was so happy about the potential of a China deal, then fine. But sometimes the technical analysis is so strong, and it seems like the fundamentals just follow along just to fulfill the prophecy. So like I said, you're making a believer out of me.
Let's take a look at vray, which
vray
had an up day after maybe making a bottom the day before. Look at that. Look at that decline. I guess there was some bad news that drove it down to a low of 276. Then it tried to rally back, and then gave up a lot more than to 276. Closed it had hit a low of 212, and today closed after hitting a high at 257. Closed at 245. So it's possible. I would have liked to see more volume on this candle today, but this was a nice candle, you see, because the long green tail, relatively long green tail, and some decent volume. So there was buying on this particular day of making a new low. So that's a good sign. When you see buying at the low, maybe that's a signal that it's going to turn around.
Get a nice little bounce going.
Plus the fact that the option call trade, there's a lot of volume on the calls apparently, or some volume on the calls, according to our viewer. So it's an interesting looking chart. I mean, I wouldn't want to have owned it from up here, but you know, nevertheless, we have an opportunity to get in after the dive, and you would probably delve into why did it sell off?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you'd be looking more at the fundamentals. But look, you know, you got a high over here that it could easily take out, and if it does, it'll run all the way back. Even if it doesn't take this out, a run up to it would be good.
Exactly, there's some money to be made right in there.
Yeah, you could make almost double your money just with a run up to test this high.
Right.
Yeah, and look at the nosedive of the 50, obviously.
Right.
And the crossing of the I don't know which is the 50 anymore. This is the 50.
Right.
This is
the 50.
This would be the 100. So the 100 crossed a little later on. The 50 with the dive.
Right.
And while the 50 is trading far away from the 100 and the 200, notice the 100 is still relatively close.
Right.
Which is a good sign. Yeah, this is bad, but this is good.
Now, let me ask you a question about this.
Yeah.
Do you like to see the 50 at least level out a little bit before you would hop in, or you would hop in?
I would like to see a little curve, curve starting to happen here. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now it still looks like it's continuing the nosedive, despite that one little blip that we have. Again, if you're going to be fundamental, that blip could just be all boats being risen by a rising tide.
You mean today's action?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that there was light volume on the stock. Look, I mean, how much more leverage do you need than buying a 245 stock? Buying the option just most of the time doesn't pay, because this is an option. Where, you know, the stock is an option.
The stock itself is an option.
Yeah, the stock itself is an option. So how much leverage do you need? I mean, the option, if you really had inside info, the option's the way to go, but you can't really act on inside info. And again, I think there would have been more buying if this was for real, heavier volume.
Right.
So it's questionable. You know what?
Wait and see. You're right.
The safer bet is to wait for another confirming green candle.
Yeah.
That would be safer if you just buy tomorrow.
Dr. J with his infinite wisdom.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about gambling versus trying to make more sense out of the chart, if you're a gambler, you buy at the open.
Right.
Right? You don't bother waiting for a confirming candle. So let's take a look at CVM. And I want to look at AKTX because that's a very interesting chart. All right, we're going to wrap it up like in 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So
this is CVM.
You want to take a look at the comments, see if anybody
No, there's nothing yet. Everybody's
mesmerized by what we have.
Wrapped in what you have to say.
They're digesting, they're mesmerized. All right, so this is cel-sci, and we see we had it in big, almost engulfing.
The funny thing is that I think that the news was a couple days ago. I guess it's that first red, that first red candle towards the end.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, the blogger news was probably around here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking right there.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, so it caused it to open a bit lower and never real, and actually finished near the worst levels of the day. But notice the 50, if it's not going beyond the 50 so far. So that's a very good sign.
This idea that maybe something fishy was happening. It was certainly a good time to have bad news for anybody shorting the stock.
Yeah, I mean, we already have a low and a high and a lower high, and certainly we have a lower low. So
Right.
we have a little bear market going. Hopefully it can turn it around. We also have a little triangle forming here, right? Little triangle forming. Yeah. So when I like these triangles because they eventually break out of the triangle, and usually in this kind of triangle it breaks to the upside usually. So this is nice support. We're coming to a head, so to speak. We could draw we can draw one line right in here, one trend line right in here.
Right.
No, I didn't draw it perfect. I don't have the steadiest of hands, but that's good enough.
That's good.
Yeah, and then we have this straight line. So
right.
I'll just draw a horizontal line right in there. Well, you can actually, you're better than the straight line is the doggone 50, right? But here we have a straight line. So this is a very nice little consolidation from the high. The high being 993. Right. So according to this, you have maybe another day or two. How many more days could it stay in this little triangle? 10, 16, maybe we're out of it. And a break to the upside would be nice. I think that'll happen. I don't see it. I mean, it could go lower.
It could break it. When you see that shape, it could go either way, right? It's just a question of the end of just sitting.
Yeah, that's right. We might have another day or two of relatively narrow range, and then a breakout to the upside. I would guess to the upside because most of the time, this kind of flagging type thing leads to an upward break. Most of the time.
Well, because it's starting with the bottom, and it's not really bashing through the bottom either.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's got a lot of support here too.
Right.
So this is how far back does this support go? It's a nice looking line.
Interesting. Right.
In here. And certainly, it's a lot of days that it traded close to this line, but above it. So this is nice support. And this is not a perfectly accurate trend line, but good enough. So we have, I would call this consolidation, with or without the blogger. I think it was going down anyway. So it's normal after a big run like that for profit taking. Like I say, all those investors that bought in at 4 or 5, even that bought in below, like right around here.
Like I say, just happy to double their money.
Well, yeah, but even those that bought between 7 and 8, right in here, they made a nice profit in the 9s. So nothing wrong with taking profits and not worrying about the results, right? I mean, theoretically, I could do that, walk away and have a double, and I probably should, but I'm not because I'm a greedy son of old fogey.
You're waiting for that big payoff.
If I wasn't an old fogey, I might be, a little more scared. But I'm an old fogey, and I'm not so scared.
And you got plenty of dough.
I've taken plenty of hits. If this is another hit, I keep getting up from the hits. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that much to me, and I'm not going to take the hit. This one's going to work, maybe. Let's take a look at
DGC.
I'm really inspiring confidence, am I not?
Well, it's either going to go up or it's going to go down.
I want
One of those.
Geron had a nice pop today. Geron had a nice little pop, not a tremendous pop, but nice little pop. So I want to look at Geron and call it a night.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, look at Geron and call it a night. What did you do about your MedMen? You keeping it or getting rid of it, or buying Curaleaf? Yeah. You could buy a little Curaleaf, maybe trade it for Curaleaf. I think Curaleaf is better potential.
Right. Well, I'm just sitting in the sideline. I mean, look again. I have to wait. I have to wait for this counterfeit stuff on the vapes to clear before I even step back in again. I'm just staying in my position.
The cartridges that are full of what synthetic marijuana.
Synthetic, right.
You get a bigger bang for the buck with the synthetic stuff, right?
Well, yeah, the keyword being bang. If you're thinking you're getting CBDs and you're getting high, then something's wrong.
Right. No, I don't think it's meant to be. I don't think so. I think it's those that are getting sick are not on the pure CBD. It's a combination with THC.
Right.
You know, they want to get high with the vape.
Well,
all right. So
there's going to be a lot of throwing out the baby with the bathwater, in my opinion.
Yeah. So this is the key high that it's got to take out. It's got to take out $1.64. It ran up nicely today, and it took out the recent high of $1.53. No, what was this high? $1.53? No, high of $1.53. So what was the high today? The high today was $1.55. Okay, so it took out the old high. We have a higher high, and now we need a higher low, or just continue. This looks like it should continue. It's a nice big green candle. I want to see it take out the high of 9.1. That's what I want to see. And while you're at it, take out this high of $619.65. So yeah, why not? Take that out, and then you're looking at challenging $1.81. And you don't have resistance at the 50 because it is below it. You don't have resistance at the 100 because it's trading above that. So it's in good shape that way. Where's the 200? The 200 is down here somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. So it's above that. So it's finding support rather than resistance at the averages. You see, the support is at the 100 and the 200, which look like they're crossing right around there. No, here's the other one, just below the 200. 200, yeah. I want to see this cross over. I want to see the 100 cross the 200.
Right.
That would be nice.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be a nice signal.
Wait a second, we got a crossing already. The 50 crossed.
Yeah, no, there's something there, right? Exactly. So the 50's up.
Yeah, the 50 crossed 100. So if the 50 crosses the 200, I want to see everything the right way. The 50 on top of the 100 on top of the 200. And the price trading above the 50. Then look out. Then say Geron instead of Geron, say Geronimo. If it takes out 214, go and mortgage your house and buy. Yeah, because I don't know where the next high is. Way up there somewhere. Let's see, I'll minimize. I don't know, up here, look at this. So you're looking at like $5.50, something, $5. So if it takes out it takes this out, forget it. It's on.
Frank Gregg is on the line right now.
It's on its way. 240 level. Takes that out. I want to buy because it's going to fill that gap.
Yeah.
I like Geron. I have a certain fondness for it, even though it was the biggest hit I ever took in my life. I also ran it up years ago from $8 to $70-something. That was a lot of years ago. Okay, so we're going to call it quits. Stop sharing and say goodnight to everybody. So
Greg just came on. Sorry, Greg. Hi and goodbye.
Oh, Greg had a good pick. He gave us adxs last week. Congratulations.
Oh, that's right.
Greg, you are on the money. On the money. And the week before he gave us CUI. Greg is hot. Greg, you're the hottest follower we have. What's your pick for the week?
Yeah, right. Inquiring minds.
I want to know which is the next stock to go up.
He says
he's got one. What is that? I can't see.
GHSI.
GHSI. You heard it from Greg. The Vibrant Vixen, Brooklyn's on.
Which should not be construed as an endorsement by Dr. J and Spike.
No, let me put in our usual disclaimer.
Oh, okay.
Our opinions are strictly our own, and that's the same for our viewers. Greg's opinion is strictly his own and does not constitute investment advice. So Greg is not giving investment advice, but Greg has been hot. Brooklyn's here. Vibrant Vixen is Brooklyn, also known, AKA Brooklyn. In fact,
I love Brooklyn. Anytime somebody says the talk shows,
hey, Spike, her family probably lives around the corner from where you grew up.
Oh yeah, I lived in Benson. I was on 78th Street and 20th Avenue when I was a kid.
20th and 78th. Is that near you, Brooklyn? Dow Chemical, boom! I didn't know Dow Chemical existed anymore. Yeah. They bought Kerr McGee, and I quit following it. I think it was Dow that bought Kerr McGee. Do you remember the old Kerr McGee? Nah, before you.
No. Too old to remember these things.
Vibrant Vixen, 63rd and 11th. Not that far.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not that far. You were closer to the L. You were closer to 86th Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you were close to where the Saturday Night Fever was filmed. You were in the neighborhood. They now have a good divvy, up 5% today. What has a nice dividend? I can't. And train is you.
No, we're having three conversations at once. Dow Chemical.
All I can say is hooray for Brooklyn. Hooray for Brooklyn.
Spike was the B. That's right. I was the B and the.
Kamal Ali from Long Island, New York. How you doing, Kamal?
They're all coming on just when we want to go eat dinner.
Yeah, we said our piece. CUI holding for merger.
Oh, really? Okay.
Greg says it's still good.
Well, good.
But remember our disclaimer. Our opinions are strictly our own and do not constitute investment advice. Correct?
Well, that's great information.
Very good information. CUI, okay, on watch. Vibrant Vixen put it on watch. I think it had a nice run from 60 cents to 90? Went up 50% since Greg gave it to us. I think it backed down a little now. Something like that.
What, in the last couple of minutes?
CUI has been a pretty volatile penny. All right, so we're going to say good night to all our viewers. Good night, Brooklyn. Good night, Greg. Good night, Kamal. Good night,
Long Island.
Good night, cabinet guy who's probably around somewhere. Good night. Good night to JD, who I know is watching. Good night to Who else? Musketeer,
Elwood.
Musketeer and Port Royal. These are the Geron.
Chris has got to be watching the game now, so he's not even, we don't even have to say goodnight to him.
Good night to Chris, who's watching the live and in person.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Cardinals in Busch Stadium taking on the Washington Nationals. Good luck to you, Chris. Well,
yes.
As an old Stan the Man Musial fan, I'm with you. Wally Moon. Do you remember Wally Moon?
Wally Moon, man.
He played the outfield with Stan the Man.
Yes.
And then you had Enos Slaughter. Enos Slaughter was the third outfielder. He was about 100. Musial was 80. And Wally Moon was the kid on the block. All right. Good night, Elwood. Good night, Trick Shot.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Spike. See you next week, Spike.
Good night, Grandma.
Good night. Good night to all. Have a good week. Successful trading to all. Bye. Oh, don't forget to subscribe or write a comment or something. Okay? Bye-bye. Shalom. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Hasta la vista.